The 18th of September, 1931. Japan, seeking raw materials to fuel its growing industries, invades Manchuria, an industrial area located in northeastern China, known for its rich mineral and coal reserves. Despite Chinese opposition, the Japanese continue to advance, and by the 27th of February 1932, the last Chinese forces opposing the Japanese are forced to surrender, placing all of Manchuria in Japanese hands. On the 1st of March, the Japanese establish the puppet state of Manchukuo and make Puyi, the last emperor of China, its new head of state. Hundreds of Japanese agents and operatives are sent to Manchukuo with a goal of collecting intelligence on Chinese military movements, political developments, and other activities that could threaten Japanese interests. The most capable of them is a member of the imperial family of the Qing dynasty, a princess known as the Mata Hari of the Far East. Her name is Yoshiko Kawashima. Yoshiko Kawashima was born as Aisin Gyoro Zhangyu on the 24th of May 1907 in Beijing, then part of the Qing Empire. Her father, Prince Shangqi, was a member of the Qing dynasty who had a total of 38 children, and her biological mother, Lady Zhongya, was a concubine. The Qing dynasty rose to power in the 17th century by conquering and toppling the Ming dynasty, reigning over a prosperous nation for nearly 300 years. But by the time Yoshiko was born, their grip on power was weakening. In 1911, a revolution led by nationalist reformer Sun Yat-sen overthrew the Qing dynasty and established the Republic of China. In 1915, at the age of 8, Yoshiko was given up for adoption to her father's friend, Naniwa Kawashima, a Japanese espionage agent and mercenary adventurer. When sending his daughter as an adopted child, Prince Shangqi wrote a letter to Kawashima stating, "I present you with a toy." Naniwa Kawashima changed the name of his adoptive daughter to Yoshiko Kawashima and took her back to Tokyo, Japan, where she was raised and educated. Whilst most others would walk or drive to school, she would ride a horse and was very talented at judo and kendo. In 1922, Yoshiko's biological father, Shangqi, died, and her biological mother, who as a concubine had no official identity, consequently committed ritual suicide. While in Japan, Yoshiko's life was far from perfect. She was openly harassed by her adoptive father, who found her attractive and would often brag to his friends about marrying her. He was very jealous, and if he saw Yoshiko merely smile at another man, he would act violently towards her. At the age of 17, Yoshiko was raped by her foster father and continued to be abused by him. She then spiraled into mental illness, even going so far as to attempt suicide with a pistol. After failing to take her own life, Yoshiko went to a barbershop, had her hair cut, and began to dress as a man, shocking both the public and the press. Yoshiko's refined facial features and her lineage as a member of the Qing dynasty royal family drew significant attention. Journalists began to visit her, leading to her being called the beautiful woman in men's clothing. She enjoyed the attention and stated in a Japanese newspaper that she had decided to cease being a woman forever and was born with what doctors called a tendency toward the third sex. Yoshiko's decision to cut her hair inspired other women to do the same, attracting many female fans, and she became a social phenomenon in Japan. In November 1927, Yoshiko was forced by her father to move to Mongolia and marry a Mongolian prince. However, unable to get along with her husband's family, she ran away and divorced him after only 3 years. Following the divorce, Yoshiko alternated between a bohemian life in Tokyo and Beijing, supported by a series of wealthy lovers, both men and women. In 1930, while in China, she began a sexual relationship with Tanaka Ryukichi, a Japanese military attaché and intelligence officer stationed in Shanghai. Tanaka put Yoshiko on the intelligence payroll, aiming to utilize her contacts with the Manchu and Mongol nobility to expand his network. After Tanaka was recalled to Japan, Yoshiko continued her undercover missions in Manchuria. She used her fearlessness and notorious glamour to seduce Chinese officials and manipulate them into providing useful information for the Japanese. Yoshiko's activities were set against the background of Japan's expanding influence in the region. In 1905, after Japan's victory over Russia in the Russo-Japanese War, Japan inherited Russia's leasehold rights in southern Manchuria, gaining control over the South Manchuria Railway Zone. Japan also established settlements and a strong military presence along the railway, effectively controlling the region's key economic and strategic points. However, Japan sought to expand its control over Chinese-controlled Manchuria as well. On the 18th of September 1931, the Japanese planted a small explosive device next to the tracks owned by Japan's South Manchuria Railway near the city of Mukden. The explosion that followed came to be known as the Mukden Incident. Though damage to the railway was minimal, it provided an excuse to the Japanese for the speedy and unauthorized capture of Mukden, now Shenyang, and to seize all the cities along the railroad. Despite Chinese opposition, the Japanese continued to advance, and by the 27th of February 1932, the last Chinese forces opposing the Japanese were forced to surrender, placing all of Manchuria in Japanese hands. The next step for Japan was to give legitimacy to the newly established puppet regime, and Yoshiko played a decisive role in this. She used her manipulation skills to exploit her cousin Puyi, the last emperor of China, convincing him to become the emperor of the new state of Manchukuo. Puyi had become emperor of China at the age of 2 in 1908, but was forced to abdicate in 1912 as a result of the Xinhai Revolution at the age of 6. The plan was to pretend that Puyi had returned to resume his throne due to the imaginary popular demand of the people of Manchuria, and that although Japan had nothing to do with his return, it could do nothing to oppose the will of the people. On the 1st of March 1932, the Japanese established the puppet state of Manchukuo, and on the same day, Puyi was installed as its chief executive. The puppet government then asked Tokyo to supply military advice, and over the next few months, 150,000 soldiers, 18,000 gendarmes, and 4,000 secret police entered the newly founded protectorate. The Japanese army then imposed slave labor, spread terror among the local population, and forced the 30 million Chinese into complete submission. After Puyi became emperor of Manchukuo, Yoshiko continued to play various roles, and for a time was the mistress of Hayao Tada, the chief military advisor to Puyi. In 1932, she formed an independent counterinsurgency cavalry force made up of 3,000 to 5,000 former bandits to hunt down anti-Japanese guerrilla bands during the pacification of Manchukuo. Yoshiko was hailed in Japanese newspapers as the Joan of Arc of Manchukuo. She became a well-known and popular figure, making appearances on radio broadcasts and even issuing a record of her songs. Numerous fictional and semi-fictional stories of her exploits were published in newspapers and as pulp fiction. However, starting around 1934, Yoshiko began to criticize the Japanese army's behavior in Manchukuo and Japanese policies towards China. Consequently, her media coverage sharply declined during this period. During World War II, from December 1941, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, to August 1945 when the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Yoshiko stayed in Manchukuo and did not engage in any notable activities. In October 1945, she was arrested by the Chinese Nationalist Army in Beijing, tried under Chinese laws as a traitor, and sentenced to death. At that time, the Chinese nationalists feared that revealing the details of Yoshiko's espionage activities would expose scandals within the party and further damage its already declining reputation. Additionally, the nationalists were losing ground in the Chinese Civil War, with the communist forces already attacking the North China region around Beijing. Given her high-profile background and connections, the nationalists were concerned that Yoshiko could be used by the communists to undermine the nationalist cause and bolster their own propaganda. This led to a hastening of her execution. Yoshiko Kawashima was 40 years old when she was executed by a bullet shot to the back of the head on the 25th of March, 1948. After her dead body was put on public display and seen by hundreds of Chinese, Yoshiko's corpse was collected by a Japanese monk for cremation. Her remains were sent back to her adoptive family and later buried in Japan. For decades, there were rumors that Yoshiko's execution was faked and that she was still alive. Her legacy continued in East Asia through books, movies, soap operas, and even video games, as the excitement and mystery of Yoshiko's life still captivate people today. Thanks for watching the World History channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.